COVID-19 update number 7. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Michael Johnson. I'm a board-certified chiropractic neurologist. I've been in private practice since 1983, so 37 plus years in natural health care. And honestly, folks, it's natural health care that's going to get us out of this mess with COVID-19. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. So 37 plus years in natural health care, author of several books. And this is video number 7. Today is Wednesday, April 29th. I didn't have a chance to get the video done this past weekend. Normally I've been doing it on Saturdays. It's just busy getting the antibody testing up, busy with patients, just busy. So let's, as we always do every week, look at the statistics. Right out of Johns Hopkins. To date, worldwide, almost 1 million people have recovered from COVID-19. Almost a million. 988,000. Probably by the time you're watching this, it will be a million. Those are the recovered patients. They contracted COVID-19 and they overcame it. You don't hear about that. All you hear about is the death rate, which I think, and I've shared in other videos and given you references, that it's inflated. In the US right now, currently as I'm making this video, there are 60,000 deaths, but 145,000 people have documented their recovery. And again, you don't hear about that. Sweden, I've talked about Sweden many times. There's a recent article. I'll have it attached to this video as I do with all my references. Sweden has herd immunity going and it's working. And so we can compare apples to apples because people say, well, Sweden's only got 10 million people. The USA has 330 million, blah, blah, blah. So what you're going to count is deaths per 1 million population. Per 1 million of population. Sweden currently, no lockdown, has 244 deaths per million. Compared to Belgium, which has a severe lockdown, 647 deaths per million. Spain is under lockdown, 519 deaths per million. And keep in mind, Sweden didn't really have that severe lockdown. They still have the bars and restaurants open. They're not really social distancing. They are somewhat. But all these naysayers, all of the people, what I call Kool-Aid drinking fascists, because they want to drink the Kool-Aid that Fauci is selling them, and it's a bunch of bunk, and then they want to shut everything down forever. Keep in mind, when we started this, it was for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Well, the curve's been flattened. Now they're talking, some of these Kool-Aid drinking fascists, they want the lockdown to go until they have this is crazy, a new vaccine. And that could be a year or two down the road. There isn't going to be an economy to open, as I keep saying, if this keeps going. Spain has a lockdown, 519 deaths per million. Italy, haven't heard much of Italy. They're still in lockdown, 453 deaths per million. France is under lockdown, 362 deaths per million. And the UK, 319 deaths per million. The UK is under a severe lockdown. Sweden, again, no lockdown, 244 deaths per million. So Belgium, Spain, Italy, France, UK, all with lockdown, all have a higher death rate than Sweden. The US currently, comparing the US to Sweden, under lockdown has 179 deaths per million. So Sweden's at 244, the US is at 179. Like I said, you got to have some balance. And right now it's completely out of balance. And that's why I keep saying the American people have been conned. They've been hoodwinked. They've been bamboozled. They've been duped, swindled, flimflammed, misled. And it's all because of Fauci. And it's Fauci going to Trump when Trump wanted to open up at Easter, stating, look, if you open up and we didn't do these draconian measures, there'd be 1 million to 2 million dead. And with the draconian measures, there's going to be 100,000 to 200,000. And you saw what the press did with that. It was at 200,000. And a week later, Fauci comes back and says it's 60,000. Well, we're at 60,000 now. Keeping in mind, 80,000 people died of the flu last year. So there's a new study. I'll have it referenced. You can watch and read it for yourself in Science Magazine. Study claims COVID-19 can be transmitted by people without symptoms is flawed. So all these people saying that you don't know if you have COVID-19, you don't know if you're a carrier, you're going to go out and kill people. Kool-Aid drinking fascists. That's the only term that I can describe these people. Which, by the way, some of you guys just got to lighten up. I mean, the last video I made a mistake. I called my sister a snowflake conservative. It was snowflake liberal. I'm not going to do any more. Right now it's about 3 in the afternoon on Wednesday. I'm not going to do any more videos at 6 in the morning. And you know what? I still may make a mistake or two. Just relax. Relax. Interesting point, the World Health Organization. They initially came out and said, well, look, even if you contracted COVID-19, the antibodies you're forming, they're not going to protect you. Until they got called out, because that's how a vaccine works, okay? When they administer a vaccine into your system, your body makes those antibodies, and that's what protects you. And they go, oh. And so they've reversed that completely. And the reason I bring this up is we're starting antibody testing in our office on Tuesday. Today is Wednesday, so next Tuesday. Yeah, and keep in mind, the World Health Organization, behind the United States, the biggest supporter is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We've talked about in past videos, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation wants everybody on the planet to have that vaccine. I'm not having it. I've explained why. All the chemicals, all the heavy metals, the fetal parts. That's not me. And I just read today where Delta Airlines, it's an airlines that I fly exclusively, is going to demand or possibly demand a certificate showing that you've had a vaccine or showing that you have the antibodies. That's a police state. I'm not up for that. I'm just not up for it. Recently, there was a mom out by where we live, Calumet County, Wisconsin. We live in a small town, 15, 20 minutes outside of Appleton. But the mom and her backyard next door neighbor, their little daughters, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, were going back and forth to play with one another. And sure enough, the Gestapo, also known as the Calumet County Sheriff's Office, shows up at the mom. She takes a video of it, and they're just jerks. Another case, I'm not sure the city that it was in, but it was Oshkosh, just 30 minutes south of here. Lady had opened up her pet grooming place, and the police came and arrested her. We're living in Nazi Germany. If you haven't realized it yet, anything but what Fauci is saying, or the World Health Organization, or Bill Gates, they're all one and the same because Fauci is on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's board. He makes a lot of money off of it. Bill and Melinda Gates are going to make billions off of the vaccinations if they want to provide everyone with the vaccine in the world. There's 7 billion people. But if you don't toe that company line, if you give any dissenting opinion like I have, and they are, and many others, YouTube and Facebook will shut you down. They'll shut down the video. So, as I mentioned, in Nazi Germany, they used to burn books. They don't have to. YouTube and Facebook can just flip a switch. And that totally goes against our First Amendment rights. You know, give people the information like I'm giving you, and I provide you with the references, and you decide. I'm not asking you to believe anything I say. I believe it, but that doesn't mean you have to believe it. I'm providing you with facts. Everything I say can be referenced, and I provide you with those references. But we are living in a Gestapo state. It was funny. I don't know if I mentioned this on the other video, but de Blasio, the mayor of New York, has a tip line. He wants people to rat out their neighbors and let them know that they're not social distancing or following the rules, following the stay-at-home order. And sure enough, the tip line is filled with pictures of Hitler, Nazis, and penises. Ay, ay, ay. Good for the people in New York. I would have done the same. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow the unemployment figures come out. Right now we have 26 million people unemployed. 26 million. Probably be 30 million tomorrow. Folks, there's only 158 million people employed. Oil has gone negative, meaning that producers of oil are paying people to take it off their hands. Oil isn't like other commodities like milk or hogs or chickens, where you can dump the milk or you can euthanize the chickens and hogs, and that is happening if you watch the news. And I told you this was coming. We're in a sorry state of affairs right now. We've got to open up this country now. Now. It's only going to get worse. There's an article I'm going to share with you from the Huffington Post. The economy is the real killer. Listen to this. For every 1% increase in an unemployment rate, that's an additional 1.5 million people out of work, we can expect an additional 47,000 deaths. Folks, there's only 60,000 deaths. And I say only, I don't mean to be hard, but again, 80,000 people died of the flu last year. But here's 47 deaths just with 1 point on the unemployment specter, including 26,000 deaths from heart attacks because of the stress, losing your business, something you've put your life into. About 1,200 from suicide, 831 murders, and 635 deaths related to alcohol abuse. I've said this, and everything I've said is coming to fruition. Not that I'm some seer, but it's just common sense. You're going to have more deaths as a result of people losing their businesses, something they've put 20, 30, 40 years into, than you are from the COVID virus. And yet you have these Kool-Aid drinking Nazi fascist criminals out there shaming everybody because you're so horrible. I put a post up on Facebook under one group, and something to the effect, this guy says, well, there were 52 people who contracted the coronavirus, COVID-19, as a result of the Wisconsin election on April 7th. If you remember last video, I said there were 1.5 million people who voted. So 52 out of 1.5 million is hardly a surge. And these same Kool-Aid drinking fascists are now telling everybody that on the April 18th Brookfield, Wisconsin protest and on the April 24th Madison, Wisconsin protest, you're going to see this surge of COVID-19 cases. That hasn't happened with the election. It won't happen with the protests. It's crazy. It just when you think you can't get any more bizarre, it gets bizarro world by times 10. It's crazy. I'm going to share an article with you. New York City ER doc says we got to open up now. And there's actually 2 articles that are related to that. Read those. Watch the video. But my God, and anyone that chooses to really protest in favor of their civil liberties is called a killer by these nut job Kool-Aid drinking fascists. And I had a guy giving me crap, and he goes, well, you're calling people names. That's unprofessional. So call me unprofessional. When you start taking away my civil liberties, when you put me in lockdown, like I said last time, when you put me under house arrest, when you close down all the businesses, name calling, unprofessional. Who gives a flying crap? Yikes. Drives me nuts. So I was at the protest down in Madison. At the protest, there was a lady, listen to this. She has asthma and allergies. She's at higher risk. She is having some symptoms. She goes into the ER. They run a diagnostic COVID-19 test to see if she has COVID-19. It's negative, but they still diagnose her with COVID-19. 2 weeks later, she's having the same problem, goes back in, has the diagnostic COVID-19 test. It's negative. They still diagnose her with COVID-19. This is why I say they're inflating all these numbers. Finally, it happens a third time. So it was people like that speaking down in Madison. Only because they want the economy open, because more people are going to die as a result of the economy in the crapper than of COVID-19. The economy is the real killer. And speaking of the economy, so they have the stimulus money, and guess who gets the stimulus money? Big corporations like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, like Potbelly. I'll never eat at those places again as long as I live. And you know, it's too bad because I used to enjoy Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. It's terrible. Meanwhile, mom and pop restaurants, mom and pop big businesses or small businesses, they didn't get anything. Hopefully they'll get it on this second round. What a mess. On a more positive note, I did have a patient email me, or a person email me and said, Dear Dr. J, you give me hope. Thank you. Warm regards, Ellen. I hope you should have hope. Because the way things are going, you have to have hope. It's just tragic what's happening with people. I heard this morning driving, and I can't listen to NPR anymore. I can't because they are so drinking the red and raspberry blue Kool-Aid from Fauci. It's not funny. And somebody gave me crap about that comment that I made, that the Kool-Aid comment about Fauci. Well, Jim Jones, that's where that originated from. If you don't know it, just Google Jim Jones Kool-Aid. He killed 909 people. Fauci is going to be killing more people by shutting down the economy. And just as I related to you from that Huffington Post article, how many more deaths he's going to cause. And yet people put him up on this pedestal like he's some type of god. He's a hack for Big Pharma. I've said that every video, and I'll say it every video. But I had NPR on when I got in my truck, and they had a story about how doctors are finding people in their 30s and 40s contracting COVID-19, developing blood clots, and having strokes. Well, guess what? It's something I've been saying since the beginning of this. You need to be taking vitamin D, vitamin A, K1, and K2. Guess what K1 and K2 do? They thin your blood. You don't have to worry about clotting and strokes. Vitamin D supports your immune system, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Vitamin A supports your immune system by forming a protective layer around the cells. In addition to D, A, K1, K2, you want to be taking digestive enzymes. 80% of your immune system in your gut, there is a gut-brain connection. There's doctors out there not talking about the brain or nervous system in connection with your immune system. You want to be taking resveratrol and NADH to support your mitochondria. There's doctors out there not talking about mitochondria, the powerhouses of your cells. Stronger mitochondria, stronger immune system, healthier immune system. As I mentioned, there's one doctor, and somebody sent me an email on it. He goes, well, you don't want to say boost your immune system. You don't want to boost the immune system of an autoimmune patient. That's technically correct, but in a pandemic, in this mess that we're in, people could give a crap crip about semantics. So I get this guy, he emails me. He said, hey, watch this video. I don't have an hour, hour and a half to watch another doctor's video. I said, what question do you have? Give me the mark, and I'll look at 2 or 3 or 4 minutes of it. So he gives me the mark. I don't know what it was, 1822 or something like that. And here's this doctor, and he's on his soapbox, and he's like, well, I was the first one to recommend CD4, CD8 ratio, and now all the other doctors are doing it. I'm like, wow, what an ego. I mean, I've been doing the CD4, CD8 ratio since before this guy was in practice. I've been doing blood work for almost 30 years. I actually learned it from an old timer. I say old timer because this doctor started practicing in the early 20s, and he was in his 80s when I first started practice. His name was Dr. Raymond Bosch. He was in Skokie, Illinois. He's the one that taught me about blood testing, and yeah, I picked it up at some other seminars along the way. Harry Eidner, Dr. Harry Eidner from Biotics is another great one that looks at the blood tests and correlates it with nutrition. So for any doctor to say he's the first and now everybody's following him, that's just a huge ego. He's got to get up on his soapbox and make himself feel better. So be it. But people don't care. And then this guy comes back, and don't do this to me. He comes back and he goes, well, you know, this doctor has 150 offices around the country. I said, I have 300. I have 300 on my message board. 3,000 have been through my program. And just so you know, that's what my message board looks like. So I said, I didn't know we were in a competition. I thought we're just doctors trying to get information out to people. I said, don't bring me other doctors' stuff and say, watch this entire video, and it's 90 minutes long. Like I said, I'll watch 2 or 3 minutes, I'll give you my opinion, but tell me where it is on the video. That's my soapbox. New York City. Let's talk about antibody testing. So there's 2 types of tests for COVID-19. Diagnostic, yes, you are sick and you have the COVID-19 virus. And antibody testing, you probably contracted it. Maybe you didn't even know you contracted it. My nephew called me and said, you know, I'd like the antibody test, Uncle Mike. But I really wasn't sick at all. Doesn't mean your immune system could be functioning at such a high level, you didn't have any symptoms. So we're starting antibody in our office on Tuesday. And let me tell you, it was like rolling a huge boulder uphill. It really was. To try to get all the ducks in a row and to make sure that it's FDA reviewed and FDA cleared. It was work. It was work. But we're starting it on Tuesday, and I think it's important. You know, there were some doctors in California. The YouTube Gestapo took down their video. They were in Bakersfield, California. They were ER doctors. One was Dr. Erickson. And they have done antibody testing to show that, look, a lot more people had contracted COVID-19 than what's being reported. There is definitely herd immunity going on out there. We should be more like Sweden. We're not Italy, but yet we've been acting as if we're Italy. And go back and watch my other videos. This is my 7th video now. Watch. I told you last time. Stop watching that Tiger King. Stop it. Now some of you are on like 7 or 8 rounds of Tiger King. You know the script better than the people who wrote the script. Stop that. I'm not being facetious. There are some people, they're hooked on it. I have yet to watch it. So YouTube shuts down their video. They've shut down some of Dr. Shiva's videos. Anything that shows an alternative to what Fauci and the World Health Organization and Bill Gates are saying, and I lump them all 3 together, that's misinformation, which is ridiculous because our First Amendment right is out the window. And you can say, well, you can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. That's apples and oranges. You're not comparing 2 of the same things. So to combat the Facebook and YouTube Gestapo. Take my videos, go to my YouTube channel, Optimal Health Stem Cell and Wellness Institute, and then just take that video and put it on your Facebook wall. That's how you're going to have to share it, because countless people have told me Facebook won't let them share my videos. And now you understand why YouTube shut down my other channel where I had 54,000 subscribers last summer. It's crazy. It's Nazi Germany. We're living in Nazi Germany. All right, hydroxychloroquine. Remember hydroxychloroquine? It's just quinine. But the drug companies can't make any money off of something natural because they can't patent anything natural. So they got to make something synthetic. So the VA does a study with hydroxychloroquine, says it's totally ineffective, it's not working. They didn't use zinc along with the study. Remember I told you quinine, hydroxychloroquine opens up the channel of the cell wall, allows zinc to come in. What is zinc? Anybody? Bueller? Anyone? It's a natural antiviral. So I like this zinc from OHS. It was formulated by Dr. Harris. Who was Dr. Harris? Dr. Mark Harris had 3 PhDs and an MD by the time he was 12. He's the original, the true Doogie Howser. I also like this. As I mentioned, it's got the D, A, K1, K2 all in there together, and it's formulated properly. And I also recommended digestive enzymes for the gut-brain ratio, the gut-brain immunity. I recommended resveratrol and NADH for the mitochondrial health. If you're negative for the antibody tests, like a lot of people will be, you need to be correcting your diet. And I don't see a lot of doctors out there talking about diet. That's the first thing you can do to help your immune system. And I had this wonderful lady contact me. She goes, Dr. J, I'm walking like you said. I'm not walking as much as you. Like yesterday, I literally walked 12 miles. But she goes, I'm walking every day, 30 minutes to an hour. Fantastic. So I'm getting my exercise in, but I can't change my diet. I'm eating emotionally. What do? I said, tomorrow's a new day. Try again tomorrow. I mean, yesterday I fasted. All I had was water. And I prayed. Because I think we need some more prayer. That's just me. Because it's just, like I said, it goes from crazy to crazier to insanity. It's nuts. So that's what I did, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. I'm not saying you have to do it. Just what I'm doing. Yeah. It's what you got to do. So anyway, coming back to that lady. Very nice lady. So just do your best. Don't beat yourself up. Well, she sends me another email, and then she's carrying around some baggage. Baggage for years. That's all behind you. Okay, stuff that happened in the past, you can't change. So let it go. And that's part of your stress, and that's affecting your health. Because stress adversely affects your nervous system. It adversely affects your immune system. That's been proven. Like I said, none of these doctors that I'm listening to are talking about diet. They're not talking about exercise. That doesn't cost you a bloody dime. And you know what? When you stop eating the chips and the burgers and the junk food, you're actually going to save money. Start eating more fruits and vegetables. You know, some meat, nuts, seeds. But, you know, lay off the refined sugar. Easy on the caffeine and alcohol. Way down on the carbs. You really got to cut down on the carbs. It's shown it's adversely affecting your health. So, like I told her, I'll tell you, if it's not working, you're eating emotionally like she was, that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Go easy on yourself. Just start again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day. We got today and tomorrow. Anything behind you is the past. So let that crap go. Look, there's stuff in my past I'm not proud of. There are things I regret. I can't do anything to change them. So suck it up, Buttercup, and just let it go and move forward. You're going to be a lot healthier because of it. Swear to God, sometimes I'm part chiropractor, part clinic owner, part consultant, part psychologist. Because I've had doctors calling me who are just on the edge. And I mean, they just break down in tears. They see their practices dwindling, and it's just not chiropractors. You know, there are hospitals closing because they're not doing any elective procedures. They're not doing elective surgeries. All they're focused on is this COVID-19. And you know what? The hospital ship in New York City, the big hospital that they made with the Javits Center, is all gone. There wasn't this surge. They keep talking about this surge that never happens. This overwhelming of the hospitals that never happens. I'm not saying there aren't people in hospitals with COVID-19, but it's not to the extent that the sensationalized media will tell you. And it was very nice of some of you. I didn't do the video this weekend, and usually I release it on Sunday or Monday. So yesterday I get emails, where's your video number 7? It's here right now. I was really, oh man, it took so much to get this antibody testing off the ground. It was like I had this big boulder and I'm pushing it up a hill. And so we got our first test kits in this afternoon. And, you know, I've ordered 500 test kits. Well, guess what? They sent us 25. We got people starting next week. So I called the company. They go, oh, no worries. They're going to be here tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and you'll have some Monday. Okay, I'm good with that. So, yes, and I'm having the antibody test, and all my staff and my family. I mean, I'm going to walk the talk. So, yeah. Down at the protest in Madison, I was practicing social distancing. And the only reason I practice social distancing is because of the fact that I respect other people's wishes. For instance, we don't wear a mask in our office. I saw Pence yesterday. He was at Mayo Clinic. And by the way, Mayo Clinic's laying off 30,000 people, doctors and nurses, just not support staff. 30,000. Let that sink in. So Mayo Clinic, Pence is there. Everybody's got a mask on. Pence doesn't have a mask on. People freak out. We don't wear masks in our office. You know, masks, I've mentioned this. In other videos, you can go back and watch it. But all a mask does is really create this moist environment for pathogens. And the homemade masks and the surgical masks have been proven, and the research is there, they're not working. You got to have that N95. That's the only mask that's really going to save you. So, no, we don't wear masks. I did not wear a mask at the protests. I don't wear a mask that I had in going in stores. If a store, like there's a store here locally, Menards, and now I see Costco, they're requiring masks to shop there, I'm not going in. Too bad. You've lost my business forever. And if people get smart, get their head out of their backside and start pushing back by contacting their legislators, contacting your representative, contacting your senator, state and national, that's how we're going to get out of this. But you got to take action. And not enough people are, and you got to start now. Otherwise, they're going to keep, we're going to have Nazi Germany. And Fauci is saying right now that, hey, look, maybe you can have the Democratic National Convention. And when I saw that article, I'm like, what a mental midget. First, you're telling me that we're going to extend this lockdown, this in-house arrest, until there's a vaccine, which may be a year or two away. But oh, by the way, we'll allow for the Democratic National Convention where tens of thousands of people are going to come into Milwaukee, which is a hot spot, from all over the country, and that's going to be okay. Fauci is he's a criminal. I've said it on other videos. He's a criminal for shutting down the economy. He's a criminal for lying that, well, it's 100,000 to 200,000 deaths, and then all of a sudden it was 60,000. And I really question that, because you know what? Hospitals are getting paid for coronavirus deaths, and they're not getting paid for anything else. So what's the hospital system going to do? They're going to jack up the death rate. They're going to jack up the number of people on ventilators. They're going to jack up the number of people diagnosed with COVID-19, like I told you that lady who was down at the protest. It's crazy and getting crazier. And the only way to stop it is if you start pushing back, because I've been pushing back from day one. Writing my congressman, writing anybody who will listen, even Tony the Tyrant down there. I write him 2 or 3 times a week. And I always sign off with my name. I'm right up front, but I call him Tony the Tyrant because that's what he is. He's a tyrant. And he's like a deer in headlights. He's so afraid to act on anything that I feel his plan is, look, I'm going to force the Republicans to sue me to open up the state. Because that way, if the death rate spikes, it's not my fault. And that's just what happened south of the border down in Illinois. The Illinois governor was sued 2 days ago, or even before that, but the decision was 2 days ago, and it went against him. The stay-at-home order is unconstitutional. So, yeah. You should have hope, but you got to take action with that hope. All right, so hopefully the restaurants are going to open up soon, because I'm getting tired of not going out to restaurants. You folks, if you watch my videos, you know I love going out to restaurants, and I haven't been able to do that. I've never eaten so many meals in my vehicle in my entire life, and I swear to God, once this is over, I will never eat another meal in my vehicle as long as I live. Lunch, dinner, doesn't matter. I'm eating in my vehicle. You know, I got ketchup in there, I got ranch dressing, I got a little peanut butter and jelly if I want to go get a bagel. Yeah. I'm done. No more. And no, I don't eat peanut butter and jelly bagels every day. I have it maybe once a month. So I know I always get pushback from some of you. Coffee, where I messed up on my sister, calling a snowflake conservative instead of a snowflake liberal. Yeah, now it'll be peanut butter and jelly. So that's all right. Meat. Let's talk about that. You know, I told you, dairy farmers are struggling in the state of Wisconsin before COVID-19. Now it's worse. They're dumping milk. Their farmers are now killing off hogs and chickens. So there's going to be a meat shortage. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe people will start eating more fruits and vegetables. But the economy is slowly trickling down to really severe consequences. And you understand why farmers are euthanizing hogs and chickens is because restaurants aren't open, cafeterias aren't open. So you had the grocery stores, that was one line in the food chain, but you have all these other avenues like restaurants and schools, school lunches. And so farmers are in serious trouble. And as I keep saying, no amount of stimulus money is going to keep this going, because think about it. Where do you get that stimulus money from? Taxes. Well, if nobody's employed to pay taxes, you're in serious trouble. And right now, you have unemployed people collecting that extra $600 a week. They're making more money than they were when they were working. They have no incentive for the economy to open up. Why would you? When you're being paid to stay home more than you were making when you were working, or at least the same. it's like I said, it goes from crazy to bizarro to unbelievable insanity. All right, well, I better get off my soapbox. This has been long enough. I don't like going over 40 minutes. Now, if you want to share my video, remember, go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Michael Johnson. It's the YouTube channel is called the Optimal Health Stem Cell and Wellness Institute. You'll see my videos there. Copy the link, put it on your Facebook page. That's how you're going to have to share it. Because the Facebook and YouTube Nazis, they won't let me promote anything. They won't let me share. They won't let me do anything. And they are Nazis. They, Zuckerberg, that's what I call him, Zuckerberg, because he's drinking the Fauci and WHO Kool-Aid, just like the head of YouTube and Google. They're Nazis. They are ministers of propaganda, just like Fauci. And it's people need to get the word out that this whole mess, it's not a crisis, it's a mess, has been overhyped and sensationalized. And yes, it's something to be taken seriously, but you shouldn't toss out our civil liberties in doing so. You should have infirmed and quarantined the high risk and let the rest of us go about our daily lives. And if you're afraid of COVID-19, the coronavirus, and you're afraid of contracting it, stay home. But let the rest of us get back to work. So, if you have questions or concerns, email me, drj@ohstemcell.info, drj@ohstemcell.info. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Sometimes it might be a few days. I'm that busy. Every night I'm answering emails for about an hour or two in front of the TV answering emails. And I don't mind that, and people have a lot of fear, and people have told me that they look forward to watching my videos, so I'll keep doing them. But just give me a chance. Just go easy on me, go easy on yourself. Share this video. And this weekend we're heading up to our home in Bayfield. We waited a month. Now we're going up there. I actually have some offices that I want to help get their antibody testing set up. So it's going to be a kind of a work pleasure thing. And I'll be back hopefully next week, week and a half at the longest. I'm Dr. Michael Johnson. Thank you for watching this video. And take care of yourself.